Hey guys, what's up? So you hit your head hard enough and you want to try and publish your own TCG, despite the fact that over 99% of them fail, and of the 1% that don't outright fail, most of them just bop along, release to release, never really becoming big cash cows or anything like that. But you're smarter. You have great ideas. You either have a great story that you've come up with, or you think you can get IP tie-ins or something like that. Here's my piece of advice to you beyond don't do it, it's going to fail. But if you're going to do it, game design is very hard. It's very, very hard. And over the years, I have a family member who absolutely loves board games, and boy, most board games are garbage. Most of them just throw them in the trash and don't even bother playing. And the reason for it, game design is hard. You're probably going to mess it up, and most games aren't fun. And so my advice is, if you want to start a TCG, just copy Magic's rules. Just copy their rules. Lorcana mostly copied Magic's rules, and they did the smart thing. They repaired the kind of mana flood and mana screw problem that Magic has had forever. That's probably the most deficient part of Magic's entire rule system, is that you have to draw your land. And Lorcana has the kind of inkwell thing, which is kind of like how Hearthstone did it, where on turn X you generally have X mana available. And so they fixed that, and then beyond that, for the most part, they've just ripped off Magic's rules. And that's a great idea, because there's a huge barrier of entry when you release a new TCG, where people sit around and they say, you know, I've been subjected to hundreds of crappy board games. I had to learn the rules. We played once. The game was not fun. It was not intuitive. It was not balanced. And I never played it again. And I wasted all that time reading and learning those rules. And they're going to think about that when they see your new TCG. And they're going to say, I'm not even going to bother, because odds are the gameplay is garbage. So by copying Magic's rules, not only do you inherit 30 years of effort that Wizards of the Coast has put into refining those rules, but you get that simplicity that most people will already know generally how to play your game. And you can take that scalpel around the edges to fix the worst parts of Magic's rules, instead of taking the wrecking ball down the center and saying, I'm going to throw away everything and come up with a completely new game because you think you're that smart. So that's my advice beyond never try to start a TCG. It's just not going to work. But if you must, understand how difficult game design is, how difficult it is to create games that are balanced and fun. And realize the fact that odds are you're not going to be able to pull it off. So start with Magic's rules, leverage the existing player base of TCG players who know how to play Magic, and then just take a scalpel around the edges. And the really cool thing is, there is precedence in the TCG world for having games that are compatible with each other, even though they kind of weren't initially intended to be. So a good example of this is back in the 1990s, the failed Alien Predator card game was compatible with the Terminator card game, because they both used the same rule set. They were both developed by the same group, and while they weren't really meant to be played together, they could be played together. And so if you were actually reasonably smart about coming up with the rules and crafting them in the right way, you could make your game play with Magic cards. And that might be really cool. That might actually be an idea that could work. But still don't try it. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks to everyone who makes this content possible, especially my generous supporters on Patreon. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. Join the Patreon.